Let's talk about AI and emotional intelligence because I hear people wanting to integrate AI all the time. Every industry I talk to, the focus is AI integration. We got to bring AI into our business. This is the best thing we need to do for this upcoming year of 2026. But here's the thing, a lot of people are bringing AI into their businesses and they're not seeing a return on investment quickly enough. I'm going to read a little bit for you here because I have a report from KPMG, and this was published in late November of 2025. And what it says is Canadian businesses are adopting AI, but few are seeing ROI. Only 2% of businesses reported a return on their AI investment, and KPMG data shows this. So in this article, it goes on to say that lots of companies in Canada are integrating AI across their businesses, but they are not seeing that return on investment quickly. And that can be a big problem in this economy. And the reason for that is there is a piece of the puzzle that they are missing. There's lots of different reasons to bring in AI. It can do a ton of things for you. The biggest thing, it can take away the monotony of jobs that for your employees can lift that off of their plate, freeing up their time to do more, to be more productive in other areas. Well, what other areas are going to impact your business at the highest amount of ROI? Well, businesses are people to people. They are people operating it and there are people on the other side. And yes, you could argue that, well, now it's people to AI. But again, AI is there to take away the monotony of some of that. People still want to have interactions with other people. So when you use AI to lift away a lot of that monotony, what you're freeing time up for and what you should then be following up with is how do I make my team better at interacting with people? Okay, so what are the three top relationships, professional relationships that you need your team to focus on being constructive in? They are your client relationships, your colleague relationships, and your collaborator relationships. Collaborators you can think of as suppliers or anybody externally that feeds into your business, right? Colleagues are the ones that work within the company. Anybody who interacts internally, those are the colleague relationships. And then client relationships, of course, are the ones that are coming to you for a product or a service. These three relationships build a successful business. And if we are able to have successful relationships in these three pillars, then we are able to see a huge return on investment because we have people who want to continuously work with us and engage with us on a regular basis. We have team members that want to stay with us. We have a lower turnover rate. And we have collaborators who are happy to give us incentives and other ways to continue to work with us because we are an enjoyable client to them. Okay, so AI integration is fantastic, but if we forget to level up our team's emotional intelligence, then we're really going to fall flat and it's going to take a long time to see return on investment. Here are some of the specifics of emotional intelligence and what you might see when it comes to the outcome of this integration of AI. So AI comes in. If you have a team that has high emotional intelligence, what you're going to see is that the fear you get around bringing in AI decreases, right? If you have low emotional intelligence, that fear, that resistance of bringing in AI increases because it's going to trigger people in different ways. A lot of people I've heard ask questions about, will this replace my job? Am I no longer relevant in this workplace anymore, right? The integration of it has them concerned about looking incompetent because maybe they're not as tech savvy as somebody else when it comes to this integration. Or do I even have the capacity to learn this? So if you have teams who have high emotional intelligence, they're able to regulate this. They can recognize this in themselves and they have tools to regulate these responses. But If they're low in emotional intelligence, then you're going to have to be the one to regulate those team members. And that takes extra time to adopt that and to see how it's going to be beneficial long term. So when you have when you have high emotional intelligence, you see people don't end up sabotaging the change that comes in. They actually end up participating in it. And that's what we want. Another element of integrating AI and why emotional intelligence is important is EQ helps employees reframe AI as a tool and not a threat, which we talked about a little bit already, right? You may have people who are currently working in your business and they are talking about the dangers of AI, how complicated it is, and that the leadership doesn't even care about them in many ways because they're bringing this in, right? They don't care about us. We're not going to have jobs anymore. So it ends up causing a lot of resistance and strain, and it takes a long time to implement. And those same individuals have a harder time leveraging and working on those professional relationships because they're afraid their workload is gone and now they are irrelevant. Teams with high EQ, though, they create constructive concepts around AI coming in, right? AI helps me focus on higher value work. What is high value work? Your relationships with your clients, your colleagues, and your collaborators. That's the highest value thing you can do in a business. And they also view it as a chance to upskill and stay competitive, right? They look at this as an advantage you're bringing to them and they get to partake in it. And that's amazing for their professional life and their career. And then the other way they look at it is that we're adapting because this industry is evolving. So they really don't take it personally. It's nothing to do with them. It's just to stay current with what's happening across the industry. And the outcome is that the team shifts from this panic state to a possibility state. So everybody is showing up and that implementation is easier, right? And you get to see your ROI faster from integrating AI. Now, another thing to consider is the social awareness really helps leaders communicate any AI changes ethically and effectively. So, high emotionally intelligent teams, especially managers, read the emotional temperature of their people, right? They're paying attention to this, they understand. So, instead of delivering technical updates, they communicate with empathy, transparency, context, and reassurance. So they really want to bring this to their team and create this space of trust around AI and to show them how it's going to benefit everybody as a whole, right? So this really avoids the classic emotional outsourcing behavior where employees are asked to self-regulate when you dump something on their doorstep with very little information. You haven't wrapped it up and given them all of the context they need to realize that their jobs aren't in jeopardy, and creates a much more supportive work environment because you come with this new integration of AI, you come to them with all of the information, with the whole perspective and everything framed effectively. You can only do this if you have leaders and leadership that have higher levels of emotional intelligence. And it's great when you do because then the trust in your leadership stays intact through the transition of adopting AI. You don't have lost trust. So you're not spending your time rebuilding something that was already there and you ended up breaking because your delivery of this news wasn't effective. Another piece of this AI and EQ connection is emotional intelligence improves collaboration between human and AI workflows, right? AI doesn't replace collaboration, it just changes the flow of everything in a productive and effective way. So teams with high emotional intelligence, they really excel at adapting to new roles and responsibilities, right? They're ready for it. They understand why this is being applied. They can see the big picture through their internal state and external states of those around them. We also find that we can end up figuring out how to task share between humans and automation, and where it is that we really need a human being and where it is that we can really leverage having some automation, some AI do that piece. Because again, we want to be focusing our people in the people department of our business, the client, colleague, and collaborator relationships, because they're going to do the best job there, ideally, if they've had emotional intelligence training. And it can also prevent a lot of frustration and conflict when it comes to workflows shifting, right? If we have higher levels of emotional intelligence, we are more adaptable people. So we don't get stuck on the small things. We're able to move around those and be adaptable and agile in these situations of change. And the higher level of adaptability your team has, the faster you see that return on investment from AI. And then the other thing that emotional intelligence is going to help you with when you adopt AI into your business, organization, company is it really strengthens the problem solving during that messy middle period. So with anything that we bring in, with any new process that we set up, there's going to be messy stuff, right? Until we understand what this is doing. And when a problem arises, what are the steps to take to fix that? Right? There's a messy middle that we have to get through. And sometimes that middle shows up in different places. There are going to be things like glitches, delays, learning curves. And if your team has low emotional intelligence, there's going to be a lot of emotional pushback. So teams that are able and very strong in constructive self-regulation skills, they can stay calm. Not everything is an emergency, and they can troubleshoot it effectively on their own. And they don't let that create a stressful environment and feed into a negative culture all day long, right? Whereas if you have a team who's low in emotional intelligence, they're the people who blame the procedures. They shut down. They start conflicts when they meet friction in other areas, like how to adopt this new technology. Well, now I'm just going to start fights other places because I don't want any part of this. Or they check out mentally and they're not on board to work through that messy middle that you're trying to get to the other side of. So when we have higher levels of emotional intelligence, that implementation process and getting through that messy middle is so much faster and smoother. Now, there are tons of other reasons why emotional intelligence and AI adoption go hand in hand. But really, what it comes down to is AI will not make your organization competitive on its own. Emotionally intelligent people using AI, that will make you a competitor. That will make your business competitive. And that is what's going to allow you to be the 2% that actually gets to see that ROI on your AI adoption immediately when you start to use it in your organization.